So today we're going to be looking at an extract from A Darkness of Dragons. So this is written by S.A. Patrick. And this book was released a couple of years ago now. It was released in September 2018. So you might have already read it, okay? But you may not have ever heard of it. So A Darkness of Dragons. Once again, it doesn't actually tell me on the front cover who the illustrator is for this, but I think the picture looks really, really exciting. And we can see a male character there, looks young, being chased by a dragon, and there's rats scurrying from somewhere. It looks castle-like, so it looks really, really exciting. So, it starts with, this is not a tale of our own world. It is a world like ours in many ways, but one where dragons live in their own lands, wary of humans. One with sorcerers, light and dark, one where pipers can control things around them merely by playing song. Yet tales of other worlds can reach us sometimes. All it takes is a little magic, and the pipers have always known something that, for us, is easy to forget. There is magic in music. Listen. So that is a sort of introduction there to this text. So chapter 1 is called The Ice Beast. So I don't know if you can see it there. There you go. So the Ice Beast. So listen carefully. The screams of the children brought the villagers running. The little ones often played among the tall pines at the southern edge of Paterfall. This high in the mountains winter was always hard. The pines offered shelter from the icy winds that blew through the valley. As the villagers ran towards the sound, the panicked children emerged from the trees that came rushing through the snow. The first to reach them was Frua, the 8-year-old son of the baker. It's come, said the boy. Steady, child, said Greta, the village elder. Tell me what it is. A bear? He shook his head. No, elder, it's the Ice Beast. With that, he ran past them to safety. The child is just scared, the elder told the other villagers, because the Ice Beast was a legend, nothing more. A legend as old as the village itself, about an extraordinary creature formed of snow and ice. A creature that absolutely did not exist. There were extraordinary creatures in the world, of course. Some, like dragons, were at least as intelligent as humans. Others, like basilisks and manticores, were terrifying monstrosities. But there was nothing like that anywhere near Paterfall. Dragons lived on a different continent, far to the east. As for the terrifying monstrosities, they were thankfully rare, and limited to the remotest part of the world. Only those foolish enough to get lost on the valley roads in deep water ever claimed to have seen the Ice Beast. People who were exhausted and frightened, seeing things that weren't really there. Yet the villagers could see movement a short way inside the forest, something large, something white. No, the elder said aloud, it can't be. But it was. The Ice Beast was the height of a large man and seemed to be made entirely of snow. Its legs and arms were as thick as tree trunks. The head was as featureless white ball, but every villager could imagine where the terrifying mouth was, fangs dripping, ready to sink into the flesh of anyone who got too near. Its slow steps drew a heavy crunch from the snow underneath. From its head came a steady moaning, and the villagers kept moving towards it. Go, they called to the children as they passed them. Run to your homes. There was one child left, though. One small boy, too frightened to move, standing directly in the creature's path. Hap Werner, only 4 years old. Little Hap, called the elder. You go home now. Go on with you. But Hap shook his head, rooted to the spot. The creature was getting closer to him. With no time to waste, the elder raised the shovel he was carrying. And I'll have you, beast, she cried, and ran towards the creature. The other villagers followed, wielding the weapons they had, hoes, pitchforks, brooms. The elder was first to reach it, and she swung her shovel hard, hitting the Ice Beast's head. The creature made a strange noise before falling to the snowy ground with a thud. There it lay, motionless as the villagers surrounded it, ready to hit it again if it moved even a fraction. But where the shovel had hit its head, a few chunks of ice and snow were now gone, revealing something underneath. The villagers stared at what they saw, a very cold, very red nose, and below that, a very human mouth. Ow, the mouth groaned. For a moment, the villagers looked at each other in shock. They began to scrape away what they could of the ice and snow that clung to the stranger. With every chunk removed, he was smaller, lighter. Yet what they found underneath was a curious giant. The legs and arms unnaturally thick. Only when more ice was cleared did it make sense to them. Clothes. Layer upon layer of shirts and trousers, dozens perhaps more. The stranger's neck was thick with 100 scarves, the hand and head puffed out by gloves and hats. Torn strips of material were densely wrapped around the face, gaps left only for the mouth, nose, and eyes. Too heavy to carry, they dragged the unconscious stranger to the village, his legs and feet still icebound. In the village hall, a fire was roaring, and they propped him up in a chair in front of the blazing logs, then began cutting and unravelling the layers with care. In one corner of the hall, the piled discarded garments grew, while the unconscious stranger shrank, until all that was left was a thin figure slouched in a chair, with a long coat over his simple clothing. It was a boy, his hair dark and scruffy. "Look how young he is. He can't be more than 13, said a villager. "How did he survive his journey?" "A good question," said the elder. "To emerge from the forest where he did, he must have come through Andig's Pass, an icy hell this time of year." "It's certain death for anyone crazy enough to go that way," said the villager. "And yet this boy made it through," said the elder, thoughtful. "There must be more to him than meets the eye." She reached the boy's coat and searched the deep pockets within. After a moment, she slowly pulled out her hand, and with it came a wooden flute, the length of her forearm. Those watching gasped as they saw. It was not a flute, of course. The small finger holes were far more numerous, the layout much more complex than on any old flute they'd ever seen. This was not a flute. This was a pipe. The elder lifted it up. "The piper has come," she said in awe, and the people cheered. The doors of the village hall were flung open, and the news was passed on to those waiting outside. Everyone took up the call. "The piper has come home. The piper has come." And that is the end of that extract. So, I think that's very exciting. There is the ice beast, who just seems to have sort of become the piper as they've gone through. So, like I've said previously, and in other videos that we'll be going through, as these are extracts, and some of them we don't have in school, but if they're books that interest you, and you like the author, or you like the story, then it might be something that you may ask for at home, so that you can have a different text to get your teeth into. It's always nice to have a book that you're reading, and actually building it up. You might just like some of the vocabulary in it. You might like the character, you might like the setting. Remember, there's lots to like about a story and lots to dislike. You might not like this one at all, you might not like the others that we do, but hopefully it will get you knowing what you do and don't like in terms of stories, and obviously broaden your reading knowledge and literature that you've currently got, because that's really important. If we only ever read David Walliams books, which are brilliant, or we only ever read Jeff Kinney books, then we limit what we're used to, and we don't then get exposed to new vocabulary, new ways of writing. And actually, the more that you're exposed to it, the better your writing is going to be. So hopefully, over these extracts, you will find something that interests you that you can read. So obviously tomorrow there will be a different one again. So I'll see you then.